Hari Om friends, welcome once again to Sanatan Dunya, your spiritual home. In this video, I shall be giving my commentary on the fourth sloka of Dakshinamurti Stotram. Dakshinamurti Stotram is a composition and spiritual work of wisdom by Adi Shankaracharya, who is one of the greatest masters of Sanatan Dharma and mainly as far as Advaita Vedanta is concerned. For those of you who have not yet listened to my commentaries on the 5 introductory prayers of this Dakshinamurti Stotram and the previous slokas of this work, I suggest you listen to them before continuing with this video. These videos are available in the video section of my channel and also in the playlist section of this channel in the playlist titled Adi Shankaracharya's Works of Vedantic Wisdom and Dakshinamurti Stotram with commentary in English, 11 parts. Before I go ahead and give my commentary on the fourth sloka of Dakshinamurti Stotram, I have a small request to make. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, then I suggest you do so that you may be updated about forthcoming videos uploaded to this channel. So let's move on. The fourth sloka of the Dakshinamurti Stotram is as follows. He whose intelligence flashes outside through the eyes and other sense organs, just like the bright light of a great lamp placed in a pot having many holes, and after whose shining this whole universe of objects shines. To him, the divine teacher Sri Dakshinamurti is this prostration. The first, foremost, and most basic teaching of Vedanta is that we are not the body, but we are the eternal, immortal, nameless, formless, and changeless spirit soul within and beyond the body. It is very useful if, as seekers, we remind ourselves a few times every day that we are not the body, but we are the eternal and immortal spirit soul within and beyond the body. Frequent remembrance of this truth is very important as we often tend to subconsciously confuse our body and limited personality to be us and not the spirit soul. So the self that we are is located within the body and all over the creation. We are the all-pervading reality called self or consciousness. This self that we are is of the nature of intelligence. Intelligence should not be confused with the faculty of intellect. Intelligence here refers to consciousness, which is the basis of life within the body and beyond, and also the source of sentience and power to all the sense organs, mind, intellect, memory, and ego. The intelligence called consciousness is the basis of life within all the bodies of all the creatures all over the creation. This intelligence is what makes us capable of seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, thinking, feeling, etc. Basically, the intelligence of consciousness is the source of life all over the creation and resides within the bodies of all the creatures in the creation. It is this consciousness or intelligence which is called God, and which is beyond all the names and forms and is the substratum of all the names and forms of the creation. Here in this sloka, Adi Shankara is saying that it is this intelligence within all of us, and particularly within the realized souls, which flashes out through the eyes and the sense organs. By now, we all must have understood that it is the self or consciousness which sees and experiences the world of objects through the eyes and other sense organs. If it were not for the consciousness, it would be impossible for the sense organs to experience the world of objects on their own. This consciousness is often called the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear, the mind of the mind, and speech of speech. This description of consciousness is found in the Kena Upanishad or Kena Upanishad, which is one of the major and important Upanishads for all truth seekers to study. So, This consciousness is the basis of experience for the jiva. It flashes out through the eyes and other sense organs. For an object to be seen, we need light, either sunlight or the light of a lamp or the modern day artificial lights. Without light, no object can be seen, as is the case when there is pitch darkness. Similarly, even if sunlight or any other form of life is present, it is only in the light of consciousness which makes experience possible. A dead person cannot see or hear or taste or touch or smell. This is because consciousness or soul, which was empowering all the sense organs to perceive their objects, has now left the body, leaving it incapable of having any experience. Hence, the person is declared dead. So, the point to be understood is that we are that consciousness which flashes out through the sense objects and sense organs, and makes experience possible. And that we are not the body, mind, intellect, or senses, which are nothing but instruments in the hands of the conscious self that we are. The example being given by Adi Shankara here to indicate the conscious intelligence that we are is that of a lamp placed in a pot with many holes in it. When a lamp is placed in a pot with many holes in it, it makes the entire pot glow, especially where there are holes. This not only makes the pot glow very beautifully, it also makes the rays of light to appear through the holes in the pot. The lamp in the pot can be compared to the soul within the body, where the lamp is the soul and the pot being the body. The light which comes out of the holes of the pot can be compared to the consciousness experiencing the world of objects through the senses, mind, and intellect. The next point being made here by Adi Shankara is that it is after the shining of this consciousness that the universe of objects shines. Not only is the consciousness the basis of life within the body of a jiva, but it is also the basis and substratum of life all over the universe. In fact, the universe appears only because we see it appearing. Without us as a conscious seer, the universe of objects cannot be seen or experienced at all. Think about it. When we are in the waking state, the universe of names and forms appears. And when we are in deep sleep, there is neither the experience of ourselves, nor is there the universe of names and forms while we are in deep sleep. Just ask yourself this question. Where was this universe of names and forms when I was sleeping? It was not there. There was only a dense darkness all around while we were sleeping. So during the 16-17 hours of waking state, the universe appeared. And when we were in deep sleep, there was no universe in our perception. So does this simple fact not prove that the universe is nothing but a projection of our own minds? Yes, believe it or not, but this entire universe appears whenever the mind appears, and this entire universe dissolves when our mind dissolves. Even when we faint, we do not experience the world. This is because the mind is dissolved when we faint, as in the case of deep sleep. So the mind is the basis of the universe of names and forms. Then what is the basis of the mind? The answer is that the self or consciousness is the basis of the names and forms of the creation. So in other words, it is this consciousness which flashes out through our mind and senses and makes the entire universe shine. Mind awake, the world is awake and shines. Mind dissolved, the world dissolves. Hence, Adi Shankara is saying here in this verse that it is after the shining of this consciousness that the universe of objects shines. This has already been explained just now. Also, the Jivan Mukta or liberated soul does not experience any world at all. He experiences only consciousness in all directions. In his vision, there is no world appearance, and hence no chance of sorrow. He revels in the bliss of his self or infinite consciousness and thereby attains freedom from the cycle of birth and death. This is because through intense sadhana over many lifetimes, he has managed to permanently dissolve the mind into consciousness. Once sugar has dissolved in water, it cannot be obtained once again. Similarly, when the yogi through long sadhana dissolves his mind permanently into consciousness, he no longer experiences the world of objects and hence is freed from the cycle of birth and death. He then merges into the infinite consciousness and experiences permanent happiness, bliss, freedom, and peace. Let us all also try our best to silence our minds of all thoughts and thereby permanently dissolve our minds into the self so that we too can experience the blessed liberation and its permanent happiness. Finally, Adi Shankara says, to him the divine teacher Sri Dakshinamurti is this prostration. I have already commented in the previous videos about prostration and its importance. The more we prostrate with devotional bhava or feeling to our Sadgurus and Ishtadevtas, the more we shall get the fuel of inspiration and strength to pursue the spiritual path until the very end of our lives. Prostrations to Sri Krishna, to Sri Shankaracharya, to Sri Dakshinamurti, and to all the masters of Sanatan Dharma and other religions of the world. So friends, here ends my commentary on the fourth sloka of Dakshinamurti Stotram. I shall be coming up with commentaries on the following slokas of this work in the days to come. So stay tuned to this channel, and if you like this commentary, then hit the like button. Also, kindly subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so that you may be updated about forthcoming videos uploaded to this channel. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day ahead. Hari Om.